Hey guys! Welcome to my next video. Let's talk about 3D printing. So my first experience with 3D printing was actually in the year 2020 at the beginning of the coronavirus, and it was a good, let's say, hobby during the lockdown. And what I really like about this is that you have all the possibilities to find on the internet or your own designs. It was also not that expensive because it's roughly about 200 euros, and it comes with 1 or 2 kilograms of filament. It's the material you use. It's based on PLA. It's a special kind of plastic which also can decompose if you throw it into the nature and into the environment. The other thing is, because my 2 daughters are quite young at that age, the first one is nearly 2 years old and the other one has just been born, so it was also a fun time for me to print toys, to print a lot of different tools, and also for some things for garden, which I will show you and showcase you later. On top of that, the construction is also very quick. It took me about 30 minutes, and the initial setup, because the print bed needs to be leveled, so it needs to reach a certain height between the bed and the print head or the hot end. Quite a narrow gap in order to make a perfect print or the perfect layer of a print. So that took me a lot of time in order to, because the gap, let's say it's more than just roughly 1 A4 paper. The one thing is you need to take all the 4 edges of the 3D printer at that time in order to, adjust the height. And if you miss, or if you miscalculated or did a wrong setup, then your print will fail. So that's one struggle which was really exhausting at that time. But I overcome this difficulty, and I have printed a lot of things for the children, and it was quite fun. So the question is 3D printing easy to use? I would say yes, because on the internet, on the website, for example, thingiverse.com, you can find a big variety of different prints which is already designed, and you just need to download all this kind of different designs. And this design you can put into the freeware. It's called Cura, C-U-R-A. This freeware is, let's say it's translator. It translates all the 3D prints on the one hand to your file which your 3D printer needs. So Cura is the central program. You really need to get used to it and also optimize it for your printer, because every printer has a different setup. And within this Cura program, what you can also do is to make a pre-configuration, and this pre-configuration can be adapted to all the different designs. So that's one thing. You also need to set up the different kind of materials. So the standard material is PLA, which you can print around 200 degrees Celsius. By the way, the bed temperature is at 60 degrees Celsius. So it's really important for you to know that you need to, if you have small children at home, put those printers somewhere safe, out of the reach of your kids. We have talked about PLA. This is a standard material. Then we have the other material, which is called PETG. PETG is something for the usage outside of your home. So it's weatherproof. Those materials need a higher temperature, so it's like 230 degrees Celsius. Of course, there are other materials which are flexible. They can wobble. But the main material which I've talked about is PLA and PETG. Moreover, I didn't stop just using a ready-made 3D prints. I have also designed my own prints. So I've, for example, I've printed my, house sign with the typical traditional Chinese letter Liu, L-I-U. So I put it in front of my house, and I designed that through the tool which is called Blender. It's actually made for 3D animation, but I could translate the Chinese character into the Blender, and from the Blender onwards I have put it back to Cura, and the Cura made the final file for my 3D printer. What I forgot to mention is the data transfer between my computer and the 3D printer is through a micro SD card. So they normally ship that with all the printers, so don't worry, you don't need to buy a new one. So let's talk about the positive side of the 3D printers. So besides all the toys, all the tools I have printed for my children, I think it's a very good learning curve if you like to deal with programs and try to create something new. And the power consumption is not that high, because I think if you print around 200 degrees Celsius, the power consumption varies between 250 and 300 watts, and that's a good combination if you have solar panel at home, so you can activate or just print when the sun shines. Now let's dive into my different prints. However, in everything you have a lot of different upside and also downsides. So I have a different kind of struggle during the last 3 years. On the one hand, I experienced struggles like humidity. If your filament is wet, then it can make little strings around the print or within the prints. Actually, you need to remove those threads. It's kind of annoying. So for that, I've bought heater or filament heater. It's like a heating system which you can put your filament into it, and then it will heat up and get the, let's say, the water content out of your filament. The other struggle which I've mentioned is the leveling. That is my number one struggle, because every time, sometimes the printer fails, you need to repair it, and for me, for example, I have repaired the temperature sensor on the bed, on the printing bed, 2 times, and after every time I've repaired them, I've struggled to level it correctly or in a good way that I can continue my printing. So at the beginning of April 2023, I've ordered a second printer from this company Anycubic. It's my second printer from Anycubic, and it's called the version Cobra, and it was just, I think, 10 euros or 20 euros more expensive than my current Anycubic Mega i3, but the printer itself, it levels automatically, so it saved me a lot of time and efforts. So now I'm able to switch in my Cura program between the old printer and the new printer, and I also can print 2 things at the same time, so it's quite exciting to use. But how does the market in general look like for the future? So actually in the recent years there are 3D printers with liquids and lasers. You can print fine details and fine small, let's say, figures, and the only downside is that it smells, so it's not something you can put into your office. So what else can you use with your 3D printer? So 3D printing, besides toys, what I've mentioned earlier, it's more about prototyping. And also it's more for small scale printing. So the printing size is about 21 centimeters multiplied with 21 centimeters, and the height is around also 20.5 millimeters. The other interesting development is the printing materials. So in the future we will see more materials being introduced to 3D printing. For example, metal. Metal is one of the future topics, and you can fast prototyping with it, and also maybe one day you just scan something which is damaged, and you reconfigure it in Cura and send it to your printer, and then you can print your own things you need. So it saves time and also efforts to buy new materials. So maybe it's also more cost effective. What I hope for the future is that the scanning of real products or damaged products, it would be good if there are some, let's say, automated solution camera systems or rotating system, which combined with the camera, which can scan the product or the broken product. And I hope in the future there are also artificial intelligence solutions which can automatically repair the scanned products, and we can take this scanned file, put into Cura, and Cura can also handle it and bring it down to your printer. So is 3D printing something for you? I would say yes, if you like dealing with programs, and also if you have small-scale solar panels which you can profit from and produce the same energy which is required for your 3D printer. Also from a material perspective, it's not that expensive anymore. It's just around 15 or 20 euros per kilogram material. With this 20 euros investment, you can print a lot of different kind of things. That's very, very important to keep in mind. So the more thing I think I can profit also from it is, let's say, value creation part. So I'm keen of showing my daughters how to deal with the programs, and also maybe let them design their own prints and print it. I think there's a lot of educational part which 3D printer can bring to our family. So hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what kind of 3D printing topics you want to know about. I will take my time and to review those comments and get back to you in the next video. Bye! Yo, you have now learned a little bit about 3D printing. Don't forget to subscribe, otherwise I will cry. Oh yeah, please subscribe. Oh yo, please.